So we basically have one more type of factoring to do. And then there's just some harder problems that we can mix all different kinds of things together. But so far, we've done GCF, we've done shortcut method, we've done grouping and difference of squares. All of those combined, they can get more difficult as you combine the different things. But today is also kind of a difficult one by itself. We're going to go back to factoring a trinomial. So a trinomial. But we're not going to have that a equal 1. So it's going to be a different number out front. So today we're going to look at how do you factor a trinomial with 3 terms. But there won't be a GCF to factor out. And again, we're going to go back to the shortcut method. Remember, it had to look like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. When we did the shortcut method, remember we said that the front number had to be 1. But now it does not have to be. So the method we're going to learn today, this could be numbers other than 1. So it could be 2, 3, 4, whatever. But before, with the shortcut method, you had to have 1 there. Now we can have whatever we want, but it still has to be of this form: 3 terms, ax squared plus bx plus c, which might actually be the hardest form overall. So don't forget, when we do these problems, in order to use this technique to factor, it has to look like this: ax squared plus bx plus c. So I will reference this when we do some of these problems here. So let's start by what we normally do, by multiplying these together, seeing what it looks like, and then we'll learn how to go backwards. So quickly, we can multiply these two together and get 6x squared. And this x goes with the 5, so that's plus 5x. Then 3 times 6x is 18x. And the last one we do is 3 times 5, 15. So if you remember, what normally happens here when we do this double distribution here, usually the middle 2 terms can be combined. In this case, it's the same thing. They can be combined. So we're going to add these together and get 6x squared, and 5 plus 18 would be 23x plus 15. So here we have the ax squared plus bx plus c form, right? And so if I were to identify this, I would say a is 6, b is 23, and c is 15. And we're going to learn how do we start with that and go backwards to the original, which actually is fairly more difficult. So looking at this, what we're going to do is actually going to go back to this step, and we'll learn how to go back to this step. And then once we get there, we're basically going to do our grouping stuff to go back to this. So if you remember how to do grouping, that's mostly what we need to do to go back to here. It's actually a kind of a combination of shortcut method and grouping. All right, let's try another one. Let's multiply these together. We get 2x and 3x. That's 6x squared again. Just a different combination. 2x times 1 plus 2x. Negative 4 times 3x, negative 12x. Negative 4 times 1 minus 4. Again, what happens? We can combine these two. So you get 6x squared. And then you combine those middle two, that'd be minus 10x minus 4. So again, we can have a number out front here, and we have to figure out how do we go backwards from one step to the next for each one of these. And again, I'll come back and reference these when we start doing this, and we'll use grouping to do that. So first, what we're going to do is an example with a lot of steps, and then the steps will slowly go away. So we're going to factor 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. Now you have to make sure it's in that right form of ax squared plus bx plus c. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to identify a, b, and c. Now normally we'll just put in, a, b, c up here, right? Have to make sure it's in that order. And then I'll just write it down here as well. So we'll say a is 2, b is 11, and c is 12. So you have to make sure you know which one's which. Then step 2, we're going to multiply a times c together. So a is 2, c is 12. Right? So we're going to do 2 times 12. That's a time symbol. And that gives you 24. So this is what we're going to use, like we did with the shortcut method. We're going to use A times C, and we're going to use B. If you remember, we used B before. We're going to find two numbers that multiply to get the A times C, or 24, and add to get B. So what is B? 11. So I'm going to write that down here. We know A times C is 24, and we know B is 11. So now we're going to play that little math game where we figure out what multiplies 24 and adds to 11. The only additional step we had here is we had to multiply A and C together, these two together. So what would that be? Well, what do we have for 24? You have 2 and 12. That's not 11. You have 6 and 4. That's 10. Close, not 11. 24 and 1, definitely not. And we also have, I think the one that will work is 8 and 3. 8 times 3, 8 plus 3. So there are two numbers that we have is 8 and 3. So we have a little bit more work to do. We're not just going to end it here. Like before, we were able to say like x plus 8, x plus 3. Not here. Once we have that combination, we get on this step. Using these numbers, we're going to rewrite the original polynomial, which is the one up here, as 4 terms. So we're splitting that middle term. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this 11x, and we're going to split that into two numbers. It's going to be 8 and 3. Specifically, 8x and 3x. So I'm going to put that down here. It's going to be 8x and 3x. So what did I do? I just split 11x into 8 and 3. So now I have 4 terms. So what can I do? Now I'm going to use grouping to factor this. So how do we do that? We put sets of parentheses around the first two, parentheses around the last two, and now it's something that you're very familiar with. So let's take out a GCF from the front two. We can take out a 2x. Divide by 2, you just get 1. And we also took out an x, so it's just x. Take out an x here, and we divide that by 2, we get plus 4. Remember, we're looking for this as well, x plus 4 in this set. So let's factor out a 3 between those two. So plus 3. Divide both by 3, you get x plus 4, which is exactly what we wanted. And then as a final answer, let's go ahead and write that. We're going to factor out what's in common, which is the x plus 4s. So those go away. And then we have 2x plus 3. So you have to know GCF. You have to know grouping. You also have to be pretty good at the shortcut method that we did earlier, which is this finding this combination of numbers, which I know can be like the hardest part. But not only that, but you have to remember to do A times C. So there's a lot of steps involved. And these steps will not all be here every single time. We're going to slowly get rid of them. So we're going to do another one that's like that, going through the steps. All right, so we're going to factor 10x squared plus 19x plus 6. So A, B, and C, I'm just going to label them up here. A is 10, B is 19, C is 6. Remember, find A times C. That's 10 times 6. So that is 60. Using A times C and B, we're going to find two numbers that multiply to get AC and add together to get B. So you're multiplying to get 60. So if you want to do that little shortcut we did before, that's fine. Multiplying to get 60. And we're going to add to get 6. Something plus something. So let's see if you can figure that out. Oh, wait. Why did I put 6 there? Our p-value is not 6. It's 19. There we go. So see if you can figure out what that combination would be. So what kind of combinations do we have for 60? You can divide it by 2 and get 30. You can divide it by 20 and get 3. What else do we have? 6 and 10. That won't work. How are we going to get 19? So I would recommend trying and making sure you can get this combination. One combination that will work, I think, is 15. 15 goes into 60 and 4. And if you put them together, you get 19. So we're going to use 15 and 4. Make sure you practice doing this so you can get the same thing. All right, and then remember what we do here. We're going to actually take that 19 and we're going to break it apart into two numbers. We're going to use 15 and 4. So I'm going to use 15x and 4x. You have to be careful to remember that we're actually breaking apart 19x, so we have to put x's on these. All right, let's use grouping. Go through this a little quicker here. So to group these together, we can take out a 5x, and we're left with 2x plus 3, plus take out a 2 here between those two, another 2x plus 3, perfect. Now that we have them the same, we would say our answer is, I'll put it over here actually, it'd be 2x plus 3 and 5x plus 2. So we don't need that. So we're going to start taking these steps away, and eventually we're not going to have anything. So I'm going to do 4 more. So really we're just going to jump to doing the A times C and B. Some people call it the ACB method. It doesn't really matter. I mean, I guess that's one way to name this kind of factoring. So we're going to multiply A times C, like we always do. A, B, and C are listed here. We got 30, and we're going to add to get 17. That one should be an easy one to do. So 30 would be 15 times 2, and 15 plus 2. All right, so now we have to rewrite this and break it apart. So now we actually go down and rewrite it. So we have 3x squared. We're not going to write 17. We're breaking it apart. Plus 15x plus 2x plus 10. Because you have to use 15 and 2. All right, let's do our grouping. What comes out of here? It looks like a 3x. And we have left an x plus 5. Take out 2 in the second one. Get another x plus 5. I mean, if you start getting good at these combinations and finding what multiplies together and what adds together, it doesn't take that long to do it, especially if you're good at grouping. So we have x plus 5 and 3x plus 2. So we would factor those out, and you have 3x plus 2. All right, how about B? We're going to do A times C. Should label that A, B, C, which would be 12, and we're adding to get 13. Another one that's not too bad. How you multiply to get 12? Then you could have 6 and 2, 3 and 4, and 12 and 1. I think that's it. 12 times 1, 12 plus 1. So we're going to break this apart into 12 and 1. So 4x squared plus 12x plus 1x plus 3. Splitting 13 into 12 and 1. Now, if you wrote this as 1x plus 12x, like if you reverse these two, that's okay. It should come out to be the same answer in the end. So that order should not necessarily matter. I don't think it would. And so if you happen to reverse any of these ones that we did in the middle, that's okay. You'll eventually get the same answer at the end. So the first one we can take out is a 4x. So we're left with x plus 3. Oh, and look at here. We have x plus 3 anyway. But remember, we have to take something out, so we're going to pull out a plus 1. And keep it the same, x plus 3. So for our final answer, we'll have x plus 3 and 4x plus 1. That's the answer. Circle these. All right, I'm going to quickly go through 2 more. And the rest of it is free to do because there's going to be some huddles to do. 6 problems there, 6 problems in the master. There's a lot of practice to do. I would highly recommend you practice finding that right combination. All right, 2 more to do. C. Now there's no work for you here. I'm going to go ahead and do off to the side. We need to do A times C and B. So I would recommend keeping what we've been doing here that was typed out before. So AC, I'll label this A, B, C. A times C is, don't forget the negative on this one, -6. B is 5. So how do we multiply to get -6 and add to get 5? Looks like that might be 6 times -1. And then 6 plus -1. That should give you 5. So that's our combination. Put that down here. So remember, we rewrite the entire problem, but we're going to change out what 5x is. So 5x is going to be 6x minus 1x minus 3. Oh, I forgot the squared on that one. There we go. Okay, group them together. And don't forget, when you have a negative sign here, I'm going to include that in my parentheses because it's going to matter here at the end. What goes into those? We can take out a 2x. Throw it up with x plus 3. And this looks very similar to x plus 3. Not quite, but it's very similar. So what do we take out to make them both positive? Since they're both negative, just plot a negative. And nothing goes into those numbers, so we can say it's a -1. Divide both of those by a -1, becomes positive x. Divide that one by a negative, plus 3. All right, our final answer would be x plus 3, 2x minus 1. I know these ones take a little bit more time, but you just have to practice doing them. And I think as you do more of them, you can do them fairly quickly. All right, last one here, ABC. So we're on A times C, which is 6 times -10. So it's -60. We're trying to add to get the B, which is -11. Something times something, and something plus something. So see if you can figure that one out. So we have what? 2 and 30. Don't know that's going to work. We have 3 and 20. That's not going to work. We have 6 and 10. We have 15 and 4. Oh, it looks like we might have to do 15 and 4 again. 15 and 4. But one of them has to be negative, so we want this to be -11, so I'm going to do this. -15 plus 4 is -11. -15 times 4 is -60. So that's our combination. I'm going to do 6y squared. Oh, we're using y's this time. Minus 15y plus 4y minus 10. So again, we're splitting this up into -15 and +4. All right, let's put our parentheses up here. First set, we can take out a 3y. Divide everything by 3, you get 2y minus 5. This one, we can take out a 2 and get 2y minus 5 again. Perfect. Then we can get our final answer, 2y minus 5. If we take those out, and 3y plus 2. So maybe the only hard part, I know it's a decent amount of work, but the hard part, again, is right here. You have to be able to figure out that combination. And if you need to write out the combinations like 6 and 10, 12, and 5, whatever you need to do to get that combination, practice doing it some more. This combines a lot of different things, right? GCF, grouping, shortcut method is the first one we learned when we did this. So it's a lot of things. So you have a lot of practice to do with it. Again, 6 problems for the huddle, and I think 6 problems for the mastery to finish it up. And that will be, I think, probably the last new type of factor that we're going to do.